Hello and welcome to Ivy Times TV. My name is Vincent Balestriere and I'm joined by Abigail Elise, who is our resident video game reporter. Now, Abby, Microsoft's been in the news a lot lately. So which story do you want to pick out first? Because we got a couple to go through.
I thought we'd start with Titanfall.
Okay, go for Titanfall then.
So that game's coming out March 11th. Everyone's really excited. EA released some alpha tests this past week.
Right, and they told people not to capture any footage and leak it online, which the internet being the internet.
Yeah, it's the internet. Footage was leaked, and then the community manager came forward and said that this was just very basic footage. It doesn't represent the game.
Right, there was an uproar saying, oh, how come you only reached out to North American people, but it's supposed to be a closed alpha testing.
Right. But, you know, it could have just been more of a beta test. This is more of what maybe they're trying to see how people are going to react to the games or to what the game is like so far.
Right. Well, what the community manager was saying, oh, well, this is all technical stuff. We're not ready for a beta yet. Once we have one, absolutely, we'll send it out. But I want to move along to Dead Rising 3, actually.
Yes.
I think I'm correct in saying it's the best-selling title on the One.
Right now, it's sold 1 million copies. They think it's going to reach 1.2 million by the end of March.
Right. That's March. I think that's the number that Capcom gave to say that it needs to sell that many to be profitable.
Right.
But more importantly, they just put out a gigantic patch for it.
Right.
Which
13 gigabytes.
13. How do you have a 13 gig patch?
Well, you know, I hadn't really heard about that many people having problems with it. It's not like Battlefield 4 where everybody's complaining about.
Battlefield's broken.
Right.
You know.
Well, EA got sued. I mean, somebody said that they knowingly released a game that was still faulty and they were misleading their shareholders.
Oh man, EA being greedy?
Yeah.
No, that'll never ever happen. But then DICE just looks bad because they developed the game and they say, well, DICE didn't do their job.
That's true.
But clearly DICE is capable. The other Battlefield titles and stuff like Mirror's Edge has shown that they're a good developing studio. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about with Microsoft, at least today, was obviously there's allegations that Microsoft was paying YouTubers to say only positive things about the Xbox One. And Machinima is involved. And Microsoft is saying, oh, well, it's all Machinima doing all this. You know, we have no hand in this. We have no prior knowledge. I mean, I don't know how much you buy that, really.
The problem with that is that YouTube content creators are sort of seen as journalists. So if you're saying that you like something, you do have to give kind of a warning to the people who are reading or viewing your content saying, well,
I'm biased towards this.
I am speaking on behalf of...
In some cases, it's obvious. I mean, like, look at Achievement Hunter. Their name alone gives it away that they usually play just Microsoft stuff.
Right. But the problem with the disclosure agreement, which I did read, and it was very long, is that you couldn't say that you're doing this on behalf of Microsoft. And it was, you know, $3 per 1,000 views, and then I think it capped out at 1.25 million. So... Right.
But what it basically boiled down to is that Microsoft was essentially paying for press.
Right.
Which is...
a bit shady.
It's really shady. I mean, if a news outlet, like, say we did that, that's a big problem. But it gets really ambiguous with YouTube, and especially when an organization like Machinima gets involved, is also not so well regarded for their business practices.
Right. Well, how do you think Microsoft responded? Do you think they did
I mean, they made the safe choice, obviously saying, oh, well, we didn't have any prior knowledge of this. Microsoft's such a gigantic corporation that I don't think anybody buys it anyway.
Right.
But you have to say that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Because if you say that you do know, it's going to kill your business. But speaking of business, it's actually pretty smart of them to do this because they're, what, $1 million behind Sony right now?
Around
if you're playing the game.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thanks for coming on and talking about Microsoft with me, though.
Thank you for having me.